The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Wrestling with Johners. We are live for a Wednesday evening, episode 378, and I've got another returning guest. But we've been loving having these returning guests on Wrestling with Johners, who've graced us with their presence once before, but a year or two or three, we're bringing them back to have a bit of an update on what they've been up to, and got an awesome guest after 2 years, none other than BEVAN The Bastard Son. Bevan, great to have you back on Wrestling with Johners. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you for having me, Johns. I really appreciate it, as always. Yeah, I'm good. Just getting over a little bit of a cold, but other than that, I'm good. But yeah, a bit crazy, like you said. It's been 2 years. That's a long time. Gone quick.
It has been 2 years, and it's been busy. It's been a busy period of time for yourself. It's been a busy period of time for No Mercy Wrestling and various other things. The Bevan of 2025, what's he up to? How's he feeling? I know you're coming off the back of quite a serious injury at the moment, so give us a bit of an update.
Yeah, unfortunately, about 6 or 7 months ago, I tore my hamstring, a grade 2 tear. When it actually first happened, I didn't know about it. It happened. And me being very, very silly, decided to not go to the hospital and not get it checked out. Because the week after it happened, I was going to be wrestling in my hometown. And I really, really didn't want to miss it. So, silly me, I went ahead and did it. Everything was fine with the match. Got through it, no problem. And then there was a rumble later on in the day at the end of the show. And it was literally something as simple as a kick. That's all it was. And I just kicked someone and snap, it just went. And I had to kind of gingerly get eliminated from the Rumble. Problem was as well, I was meant to be in the final four, so we had to kind of work something on the fly. But it all worked out. It was all good. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should get it checked now. Something's definitely wrong. And went and got it checked. And unfortunately, it was a grade 2 tear. So last 6 or 7 months, I've just been rehabbing, going to the gym, rehab, and we're slowly getting there, and we're almost ready to come back now.
Fingers crossed, and we're looking forward to that. I think we might have some news on possibly one of your first matches back a little bit later on, so stay tuned if you're keen to find out where you can see Bevan the Bastard Son in action. But for a man that loves to compete, very, very competitive guy, that loves the kind of spirit of the fight and the spirit of the competition in that ring, what's it been like to kind of sit on the sidelines for the last 6 or 7 months? For somebody like yourself that's driven by competition and loves a good scrap, what's it been like, Bevan?
It's been tough. It has been tough. It's took quite a bit to get used to. More so, not so much the wrestling, like obviously the wrestling, but it was more like the camaraderie and the social aspect of it. I wasn't going to as many shows, and I wasn't seeing the people that I usually see on a weekly basis from around the country or around the different shows. So it took a little bit of getting used to that stopping quite quickly. But on the flip side of that, there's a little bit of a positive. It meant I could focus on the promotion side of things and the business side of No Mercy and VCW. So there was a silver lining to the cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to continue our conversation with Bevan very soon, but I just want to quickly remind everybody that, firstly, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are watching us live across YouTube, Wrestling with Johners YouTube channel, then thank you so much. We're getting close to 4,500 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. And don't forget, if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you can tune into so many more interviews I've got lined up throughout the course of 2025. And just to remind you, if you're not aware, I've had some tremendous guests for 2025 already. The year started with Kid Lycos 2, one of the best young wrestlers on the scene in the UK, and of course, fantastic tag team wrestler. But 2024 was definitely a breakout year for Kid Lycos too. Also in January, we had Hustle Malone, the man behind Sacrifice Pro, having recently kind of come back from a long layoff himself, and we spoke about that and his transformation to the rebooted Hustle Malone in 2024, 2025. A couple of weeks ago, we had the Spectacular Twat, and I got a feeling that this man will be coming up in conversation a bit later on. But Charles Crowley was on the show for episode 375, and we've got a bit of a catch up because we had Crowley on also 3 years ago, back in early 2022. About his journey over the last 3 years with Progress and Canada and across Europe, and becoming an international champion over in France for Rick's Catch. And a couple of weeks ago, we had Liam Jones, one of the best young heavyweight wrestlers on the scene. And he's got a fantastic future. We spoke about him and EVW and Southwest Wrestling, and what a fantastic journey he's had. He is born to do this. Been in the business his whole life, and tune into that one to find out more about that. And last week, our guest was former NXT UK star Amir Jordan, a wonderful journey that's literally taken him around the world, and being signed by WWE and NXT UK after only 2 years of training, and being in there for the whole time, for the whole 4 years of NXT UK on the TV, and that journey has since taken him around the world, and he's just coming back off of an 8-month injury, but we're looking forward to seeing him over in Las Vegas over Mania weekend. Where he might show up, we do not know. But my next guest, next Thursday, the 6th of March, my first interview of March will be none other than this guy here. Let's be honest, one of the very best wrestlers, one of the very best performers in the UK, Europe, possibly further afield. Charlie Sterling will be joining me live next Thursday, the 6th of March. And of course, one half of the Progress Tag Team Champions. I think they're the only 3-time Progress Tag Team Champions in the history of that company. But let's be honest, I think Mr. Perfect is his favorite wrestler. He emulates Mr. Perfect, and I think he kind of emulates him in the ring all day long. And I can't wait to speak to Charlie Sterling, another returning guest. I think it's probably 4 years ago that I last had Charlie Sterling on the show. So it'd be great to catch up on everything he's been up to recently. But back to my guest, Bevan, the Bastard Son. When we last spoke, Bevan, it was you were just approaching the first anniversary of No Mercy Wrestling, and we were kind of leading up to, I think it was a show called Sweep the Leg, leading up to the first anniversary. And now we're looking forward to their third anniversary, and their third anniversary show, No Mercy, No More. But firstly, 3 years of No Mercy Wrestling. It's another pretty cool and very special milestone, certainly for you that's been involved in the business that whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just to say it out loud is crazy. I never thought we'd get to the first anniversary, and here we are at the third, and hopefully we get to the 5th and the 10th and the 15th. So it is really cool to think about where we started to now and where we're going. Because the No Mercy of 2022 is completely different to the No Mercy of 2025 in many, many different ways. So I was actually to a little bit of research for this interview. I was looking at old stuff and old matches and old shows and stuff, and it is like night and day. It's like, even though the brand is there, it's like the presentation is so different and better and amazing, and it's like it feels like your child is growing up, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any kind of noticeable standout things to you where you feel the company has grown and has evolved to what it is 3 years in 2025, leading up to its third anniversary and the next show, No Mercy, No More? How any distinguishing kind of features or characteristics of the company, of the brand, or special things that you believe it's kind of grown in or kind of developed as a brand and as a company?
I think our production has taken an unbelievable huge step from the first show to now. We've actually started treating it more like a broadcast and more like television in a way, even though obviously we're not live, maybe soon, hopefully. But we've been thinking about it more like a broadcast, and since we've done that, I think the production and the presentation as a whole has just completely stepped up. And I'd go as far as to say we're one of the few companies in Wales, or if not the UK, that has that really good production, that really good presentation. Because myself and my team, we care about it. We care how the show looks. We care about how it is presented. I want, I want the young 6-year-old kid that comes into the venue, and the first thing he sees is massive production, the screens, the lights, obviously the ring, like everything. To me, at least, it's from the second they walk through those doors to the second they leave. That's the experience, and that's the experience I want people to remember. Like, obviously, the wrestling is important, of course it is, but I'm also counting the rest of it too. So everything is just as important as everything else in No Mercy.
Yeah. And I've been obviously keeping a close eye on No Mercy from year one, almost from show one, and obviously had you on the show a couple of years ago. I've attended a few shows as your backstage host. But one thing that really, really jumps out and stands out to me is how driven No Mercy is regarding storylines as well. And the storyline thread, and not just one or two storylines, but kind of pretty much every match, every character, every championship will have its own storyline, which is something that not all companies do. A lot of indie companies just put on, matches just for the sake of it without nothing really behind it. But No Mercy Wrestling can certainly say that, they put a lot of effort and a lot of passion and a lot of time and effort into storylines for their wrestlers and for their championships and for the fans to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. I'm very passionate about story. I'm very passionate about making sure that people come back because they want to see what happens with this person, or they want to see this person get their own back on this person, or whatever it may be. Like I'm a child of the Attitude Era, so I'm all about long stint storytelling, and there's been a lot of No Mercy storylines that take 12 months or more to come around, and I personally love that. I think it's investing not only in the brand, but it's investing in our roster too. It's trusting our roster enough to say, right, here's the ball, here's this storyline. I want you to take it as far as you can. I want you to go crazy with it. I want you to have as much fun as possible. Because I'm a big believer in, if your talent are having a good time, if your talent are enjoying it and having fun, that translates out into the crowd. And I feel giving our roster the freedom to go where they want to with these storylines. Obviously, it's directed, but to give them the freedom and the creativity to try what they want to do with it, I think that makes it more enjoyable for them as well.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I don't want to kind of change topics in a minute, and I'll explain where I'm going with this very, very soon. But let's bring up some pictures. And of course, if you're not too familiar with who BEVAN the Bastard Son is, here are some close-up and personal pictures of the man himself doing what he does best. And of course, this is the show we're leading up to, which we'll talk about. We'll preview and we'll discuss and we'll break down and hype up all the matches that have been announced so far. And of course, this is the company No Mercy Wrestling that BEVAN has been closely associated with for the last 3 years. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and never like to get on the wrong side of my guest, but for the last several months or so, there has been a changed kind of a shift in temperature regarding No Mercy Wrestling, and you can probably fill us in. And as that graphic kind of clearly demonstrated, it's now going by the name of Brilliance Pro Wrestling. Now, when I bring up that graphic and that name, it kind of reminds and shouts all day long of this guy here, the Brilliance, good as gold, James Ellis. And fill us in here, because I know this is something that has been an annoyance to you for a while now. And there has been this kind of rivalry between yourself and James Ellis for a while that came to a head in 2024, and it's kind of still telling its story in 2025. But please explain to our viewers at home and to people that may not be too familiar with what I'm on about, why certainly on social media, No Mercy Wrestling is now going by the name of Brilliance Pro Wrestling. Fill us in, Bevan.
Well, this all kind of stems from James Ellis's belief, if you will, that I'm the cause of him losing the No Mercy Legacy title to Kenny Mantra. Obviously, he lost that belt because he lost the match because he wasn't good enough. Simple as that. Ellis obviously sees it a different way, and ever since then, he's been trying to do everything he possibly can to get under my skin and just ruin. Yeah, there we go. That was when he first walked in on my interview with you, which was a great interview, by the way. I have to say, it was going fantastically, and then he had to ruin it, as he always does. So yeah, it's all kind of stemmed from that, and then there was tension rising, and then we had that insane cage match last year with Team No Mercy versus Team Virus. That's kind of where it all bubbled to the surface, where he decided to throw me off the top through 2 tables on into the ring, which obviously took me out for quite a while. And it was that moment actually that was a little bit of a turning point. That's when I realized it was from then is where I kind of lost my way. I was losing matches. I was getting injured. I wasn't putting enough effort in. I was in a bit of a downward spiral, and it took me a while to realize it, but I realized it was because he pushed me off. It was from that moment he pushed me off the cage, and he's just in my head. And it was my own fault. I shouldn't let him get in my head. And then, yeah, last September, we had the match where basically if he won, he gets to take the company. I hold my hands up. I made a mistake. Obviously, I was injured at the time, so the former head coach of the No Mercy Dojo took over for me, stepped in, fought a great match. It was still a good match. Unfortunately, I made the mistake. It was all because of me. I lost the match. I hold my hands up. It was my fault. Kelly, I tried to make amends. Kelly decided not to see it that way, and joined up with Alice instead. But yeah, there we go. That was the moment. So it's all a little bit up in the air at the moment. There's still legalities going on of who actually owns the name, because obviously I owned it when I first made it, but also I am a man of my word, and I did give the company to James Ellis. So yeah, it's kind of all up in the air right now, and I can't really say much legally about what's happening with the name and who's having what, and whether No Mercy will be a separate thing and he'll continue with Brilliance Pro. I don't know yet, but hopefully it's going to get resolved soon.
And as a man of who carries a lot of pride in what he does as a professional and as a former promoter and owner of No Mercy Wrestling, and obviously you've had to sit on the sidelines, not only being injured and having to recover from this injury, but also to watch James Ellis kind of run things from the sidelines under his kind of guise, his vision of Brilliance Pro Wrestling. But for a man that kind of carries himself with pride and the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that he poured into No Mercy Wrestling, how must you be feeling, kind of having to kind of sit and watch what he's doing effectively to your company?
It's not fun. it's really not. I'll admit that. But as I said, I'm a man of my word, and I said I would give him the company if I lost, and we lost. So I'm not going to go back on that. Yeah, it sucks. And obviously I was injured as well at the same time, as you mentioned. So it was like a bit of a double dagger in the back. But yeah, it's been really, really difficult to just kind of watch what he's doing. Obviously, because, VCW Pro Wrestling falls under the banner of No Mercy as well. So he's by proxy kind of taken that as well. And yeah, he's been causing chaos there too. So my commissioner of VCW, Cue Ball, he's been telling me that he hasn't been allowed into the building, and there's lots going on. There's lots and lots going on.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, Cue Ball's been in touch saying that since the Brilliance has taken over ownership, Brilliance Pro Wrestling, that he's out as commissioner of VCW. calls him an absolute wet wipe, and I think that's being mild about it. Thank you, Cubal, for tuning in and for sending us that. And of course, we are live, so please send us through your questions, your comments, and thank you so much for tuning in. But obviously, you got your No Mercy fans out there that are tuning in and wishing you all the best. But I think we've spoken enough, at least for the meantime, about Brilliance Pro Wrestling. But no doubt that brand, that name, that logo, and that certain individual might pop up a little bit later on. Let's look at more kind of brighter, more positive times. And certainly in the last couple of years since we last spoke, let's have a look at some of your personal highlights and some of the highlights that we can celebrate from No Mercy Wrestling. And the first thing I want to bring up is when this happened here: the good, the bad, and the badass. And this was very much a No Mercy Wrestling show when yourself and your childhood hero Scotty 2 Hotty took on the virus of Dale Johnson and Adam Crater. And there you are with Scott Garland, with Scotty 2 Hotty backstage. Here are some pictures from the show. It was a sold-out crowd in the Caerphilly Leisure Centre, the same place where the next show is going to be taking place. We'll discuss that in a minute. And there he is getting the hot tag with yourself. But thinking back, and that's getting close to maybe a year and a half ago now, November 2023. But I still remember it very, very vividly. I was there, got to spend a bit of time with Scott Garland myself, as did everybody else did backstage. But he was a kind of a credit to that show. The fans absolutely ate it up. And you got a chance to tag with somebody that you legit idolized as a wrestling fan growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I have to remind myself that actually happened, because in the wrestling business, there's a saying, you got to actually sometimes stop and realize what's happened, because everyone's so go looking forward. You have to actually take some time and realize just the experiences that you've had. And yeah, like I said, sometimes I forget that I actually did that. And I was thinking about it the other day actually, and was looking back at the match and the photos, and yeah, I have to pinch myself. It's like you said, he's a legitimate hero of mine. When I was a child, I genuinely would dream of being into Too Cool with Scotty Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay. So I was the biggest mark for Too Cool in the world. I had everything. I had the glasses, I had the shirts, I had the hats, all of it. And for me to actually make that dream come true, literally a dream come true, it was off the chain. And then, like you said, Scott just being there, and because we had a seminar before the show as well, and him sharing his unbelievable amount of experience, whether it be WWE or wherever else he's been, and obviously just after that he became a producer for AEW as well.
Yeah,
it was just priceless information, priceless experience shared. Everyone there loved it, of course, and just him sitting in the locker room, just he wasn't a guy who was like, oh, I need my own private locker room, I need first class travel, I need all this, all that. He's just like everyone else. He's a normal dude, and he sat in the locker room with everyone else, sat next to doesn't matter who it was on the card, he'd have time to speak to them, and if they asked him a question, he would answer it. It's it was just such a fresh breath of fresh air to see a veteran and a bona fide star of his caliber just being so down to earth and so cool. Because I have been around some quote unquote stars who aren't quite as nice and giving, but Scott was just genuinely such a nice guy, and yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. I'll never ever forget it. It was so cool.
Indeed. You might say it was too cool, but that's another joke for another day. But no, he was very, very giving, especially backstage during the show. He was talking with all the talent, taking them all under his wing. I also want to talk about something that maybe within the last couple of years you've introduced the No Mercy heavyweight champion. Of course, your very first champion was Jay Joshua. And I think that this probably happened back in 23, early 23. There he is, looking absolutely fantastic with that championship bout. And I've got to say, a beautiful, beautiful championship bout. And then almost a year ago, in March 2024, Joseph Connors dethroned Jay Joshua to become the second ever and new No Mercy heavyweight champion. He's held the championship now for nearly a year. Jay Joshua held it for about 176 days. So within the last couple of years, you've had two incredible athletes, two incredible wrestlers and performers, and legit two of the very best in the UK, holding that title, holding that championship and representing No Mercy Wrestling. But I don't think you could have found or, had two better performers, two better wrestlers in the whole of the country, in the whole of the UK to represent No Mercy as its heavyweight champion, could you?
Yeah, 100%. Jay Joshua, probably, and this is not exaggeration, probably one of the most underutilized and underrated wrestlers, not just in the UK either, like worldwide. He's that good. He's so bloody good, and he just needs that one little, I don't want to be cliche and say break, but he just needs the right person to take notice, and he's going to be going. And yeah, he's just so phenomenal. I wanted to showcase that, with No Mercy. He's been on the very first No Mercy show. Unfortunately, he had to miss the last couple because of other commitments, but he's been a day one guy with us. He was on the very first show, and ironically fought Kenny Mantra on the very, very first show, who's now the Legacy champion. So it shows you, like the nice full circle moments we have with our talent and our championships and stories. But yeah, Jay Joshua, absolutely deserved it, and just was a great champion. There's no other way to put it. He was a great champion, and unfortunately, the way Joe Connors took it from him some might say wasn't the most ethical way, but it is what it is. The match stands, and now it's Joe Connors, who is also, I would say, arguably one of the best wrestlers in Europe, if not the world. Obviously has his training school elevation as well, and Joe passing on his knowledge obviously is going to be invaluable, because he came down and has done a few seminars for us as well when we had the No Mercy Dojo. So yeah, like you said, two very, very deserving champions, two very, very good talents to have the belt around.
Absolutely. And speaking of champions, let's talk about this guy here, Kenny Mantra, the reigning defending No Mercy Legacy champion. And I've checked it. That graphic says 450 days plus. I've got it as 472 as of today. So I mean, he's been a fighting champion. He's been a defending champion. But with Kenny Mantra, he went on a journey with No Mercy Wrestling. He really did go on a journey, and I think he struggled to find his feet in No Mercy Wrestling. And like I say, he was going through his own battles, his own mind games, and his own kind of turbulence inside his own head as to why he couldn't get that win and why he couldn't get that winning streak. But he finally managed to, and he actually defeated the Brill, James Ellis, to become the No Mercy Legacy champion 472 days ago. And since then, he's been on a tear, and he's demonstrated why he's possibly one of the most underrated wrestlers in the local area, certainly in South Wales, maybe in the UK. But he's one of the most talented wrestlers I've seen in a ring, and I think he's only getting better. And I think that championship has been the making of him, and he's also helped to elevate that championship. So talk to me a little bit about Kenny Mantra.
Yeah, 100%. Kenny, I've known Kenny for a good number of years. I knew him before No Mercy, actually. So he's been around, Kenny. He's been around. People don't realize just how long he's been around. As you said, it took him a while to find his footing, I think, as a wrestler, not just as a wrestler, but as himself. It took quite a bit of time for him to find his footing and find the groove and find a bit of a rhythm. But once he did, man, he was off to the races. And yeah, exactly as you said, that the Legacy title, I think, has been the making of him. Up until the point of winning the belt, he was having a bit of a struggle. He was finding it difficult to get a win, or just to get a little bit of a rhythm going. And I think once he focused himself on James Ellis and getting that belt off him, because obviously James Ellis, while he was a fighting champion himself and had a long reign himself, some of the ways he defended the belt were less than, honorable, shall we say. So a lot of people wanted to see him lose the belt, and I think the way that Kenny came up chasing it when he finally got it, obviously I was there at that moment when he won that belt. It was unbelievable. It really, really was. And the fact that I could be like just a small part of giving him that moment, it was really cool. I really, really enjoyed it. As you can see it on the footage, he completely loses it. Like there's nothing fake, if you will, about that reaction. It's pure, genuine emotion. And when he walked through that curtain, he just dropped and was in like floods of tears. Everyone hugged him, and everyone was just really happy for him. Because I like people that really deserve something. I like seeing them win and get it, and that was exactly that moment. He really, really deserved it.
1,000%, 1,000%. And I want to talk about two other individuals. Now, when we last spoke 2 years ago, we were speaking about the first ever Iron Cobra tournament winner, who was Shane Hook. And he was under the tutelage of yourself at the time, and he's gone on to do some fantastic things around the UK. I saw him wrestle for United Wrestling just a few days ago. But since then, in the last couple of years, we've since crowned the second Iron Cobra tournament winner and the third Iron Cobra tournament champion. And let's bring up some pictures. Obviously, back in 2023, November, at the Good, the Bad, and the Badass, Leon Cage became the second ever tournament winner, Iron Cobra tournament winner. And we'll talk more about him in a moment. But last year, Ethan Thomas took that crown in this match here, which would have been the final against Victor Linden. And there is Ethan backstage with the Iron Cobra tournament sword. And there we go. I mean, Ethan Thomas is fairly new to my radar, coming onto my radar kind of only recently. But talk to us a little bit about those two, because, I mean, Leon Cage, and you just mentioned the name Leon Cage, and pretty much anybody in wrestling circles are familiar with that name. And considering he's only maybe still 17, possibly 18, who knows? But he is taking the wrestling world by storm. Shane Hook has had similar success in the couple of years since he won the tournament. But Ethan Thomas, fairly new to the scene, certainly new to me and a lot of fans out there. But, this could be the catapult. Certainly it helped to elevate the previous two, but it could be the catapult, the launching pad for Ethan Thomas as well. But talk to us about Leon Cage and Ethan Thomas, and what they mean to No Mercy, and what that tournament has done for them.
Yeah, as you said, Leon Cage is on a rocket ship right now. He's doing some unbelievable things. Just the other night at Ichiban, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but he moonsaulted off a bloody balcony. The kid is crazy, but he's also rightly so, because he's extremely talented. Like it's scary how good Leon Cage is for how young he is. Never in any age, doesn't matter how old we are, but he's always had it though. That's the thing about Leon Cage. Like, it's never been a case of him gradually getting to that point. He's just always been that good, and he's just so natural, and his ability is so natural as well. It's actually terrifying. Like, if you're a wrestler and you see Leon Cage in person, like it's scary how good he is for such a young age. And
he's fearless.
He is completely fearless. And every single time I see him walk through the curtain, if I'm at the show, obviously, and I'll be like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "It's fun, isn't it?"
The thing is with Leon Cage, and sorry to talk over you, but with Leon Cage, he is fearless, but he's not. He's not kind of. He always seems to land on his feet somehow. He's kind of really calculated, very, very skilled. He's not kind of like I'm trying to search for the words, but he's not reckless at all.
Yes, exactly.
Everything he does means something, and everything he does is effective, which is putting him up there in kind of the upper echelons of talent. In the UK or further afield, for sure. He's just so talented.
Yeah. It's insane. Exactly the word I was going to use is he's not reckless. He's fearless, but not reckless. He'll always do the things he does that he does. It's not just for the sake of it. Like you said, he does things for a reason. He does things that mean something. He does things for the moments. And like, I'm not sure if anyone's seen it, but his match with Michael Oku at New Wave a few months ago, I was there in person. I witnessed it, and it was like goosebumps type of moment, And then obviously they repeated it at Rev Pro, but Leon is going to be, I reckon, either next year or the year after, he'll be snapped up and he'll be signed one of the big companies, and he'll be the next big star. I think he's following very, very closely in Leon Slater's. Again, ironic first name. He's following very close behind Leon Slater's path in the fact that he's getting it. So I reckon within the next year or two he'll be signed with someone. But again, going back to the whole our roster going in full circle, Leon Cage was actually the referee in the very first Iron Cobra tournament, and then obviously within the second, and then won that one. Same for Ethan. Ethan was actually, I think he was a referee as well in the first Iron Cobra before he became an in-ring performer. And then obviously second one he failed at in the second round, and then finally the third one he won. So it's a long, there's the photo. Good thing about that photo as well. So you got Ethan there, you got Kenny Mantra, and you got Sammy Gallagher. Those three guys, they all started training together at the same time, I believe, in what used to be Valley Championship Wrestling. What we took over is now VCW Pro Wrestling. But it was a really nice moment for those guys because obviously Ethan won the Iron Cobra, Kenny Mantra had the Legacy title, and then Sammy Gallagher was wrestling Kenny for that belt as well on the same show. So it was a nice feel-good moment for all three of those guys because they started training at the same time together, and now they're doing the same on the same show. Because it took a while for maybe a couple of them to like reach the same level as the others, or they'd be on different levels of shows or something like that, and then finally they're all at the same level and they're all on the same show. And it was a nice moment for everyone involved. That
absolutely. And Cue Ball's been in touch again. Thank you, Cue Ball, watching live at home on YouTube. Very proud of Ethan Thomas. He's come a long way. I'm glad he took my offer of entering the recent Iron Cobra tournament back last year at VCW Ringland. So thank you, Cue Ball, and obviously somebody that knows Ethan very, very well. Somebody else has been in touch. We've got Keris James, who's watching us live at home via YouTube. Being part of No Mercy Wrestling is one of my biggest pride and joys. Bevan is legit one of the best and kindest in the business. Thank you so much, Keris. But there we go. Any words? Obviously, Cue Ball very complimentary of Ethan, and Cue Ball very, very well, and obviously Keris, working behind the scenes on No Mercy Wrestling as well, and somebody that's obviously very proud of what you've been able to achieve in your time with the company.
For sure, yeah. As most people know, Cue Ball was the commissioner for the Valley Championship Wrestling, and then once we acquired that and took over and rebranded, we kept him on board as the commissioner until obviously he was all of the crap that happened with James Ellis. But Cue Ball's been an integral part of the team at VCW, helping with everything that commissioner should do. Really, he's been invaluable. It's been fantastic. Just the same with everyone in the team, to be honest with you. Like Keris, my business partner Larry, everyone that works on our shows, be it VCW or No Mercy before Brilliance Pros started, everyone is an important cog in the wheel. Like the shows wouldn't happen if everyone doing their part weren't there. like Keris, for example, she started on just coming to the shows as a fan, because her partner was training with us at the time. Excuse me. And yes, eventually, she started taking on more responsibility, and now she's in charge of running the merch stand. So it's a nice way for people to work up into positions where not only are they great at what they're doing, that they're an important part of the team, but they're also like really good friends too. And that's what I feel like our team at our promotions is like. It's more like family and friends rather than just acquaintances,
Yeah, absolutely. A couple more highlights I want to talk about. And firstly, it was getting Trent Seven on board for your show in September. Mercy is for the week, and Trent Seven, arguably one of the biggest names in pro wrestling, and one half of the former NXT Tag Team Champions alongside Tyler Bate, of course. So I believe they may have won the championships 2 times. I'm sure somebody will correct me, but arguably, since he's come back onto the indie scene, whether it be North America, whether it be around the UK, one of the biggest acquisitions any group, any company could possibly get on their shows, on their card. And you managed to do that back in September, and you got Trent involved in a triple threat match for the championship. But what did it mean to you and No Mercy and to the fans to have somebody of the stature, of the name value of Trent Seven on board?
it is, as you said, a great acquisition for our roster, a really good signing. Trent is, again, he's another guy that's just, not only is he fantastic in the ring, as everyone knows, he's one of the best. He's great to have in the locker room. He's a true locker room leader, and he just makes everyone around him feel great. He's always positive. He's always, boosting people up. He always says to everyone around him, he's like, if you have any questions, I'm here, ask me. And he truly means it when he says, if you want my help, I will help you. And he will do anything to help anyone. And I think that's a huge trait to have as a great locker room leader. He doesn't want to just boost his match. He doesn't want to just boost everyone else's. He wants to boost the show as a whole. And that's exactly what he did in September. He excuse me, he had the match, he had the triple threat, and afterwards, him and Harrison Bennett had a little moment in the ring, where he just said exactly what everyone knows, which is Harrison Bennett is truly one of the greatest in the country, and his time is coming. He is a future world champion, and that was a really, really great moment. And he spent the time, to remind everyone that was there that it's shows like ours and other promotions around that are the true building blocks of independent wrestling. If it wasn't for shows like us, you wouldn't see the people you see on TV. You wouldn't see people in the big, massive stadium shows, So he was just great at reminding everyone about that and reminding us all why we do it, why we do this, which is because we love it. That's ultimately the reason that comes down to. Yeah, he was absolutely great. Fantastic wrestler, as I said, as everyone already knows. And yeah, looking forward to having him back, definitely.
Absolutely. And another highlight, and the final highlight I'm going to touch on for the meantime, and a match I know means a lot to you, meant a lot to you, and a match that you kind of still draw back to on a regular basis was the big cage match, wasn't it? The Head of the Snake.
Yeah.
Going back nearly a March, and we spoke a bit about this show before, but nearly a year ago, last March, and it was Team Virus versus Team No Mercy. And a match that was very historic for many reasons. I'm sure you'll enlighten us as to why it was historic in a moment. But a match personally and professionally that meant an awful lot to you as well, Bevan.
Yeah, it was absolutely huge. And as far as I know, I could be wrong. So if anyone's watching and you want to correct me, please do. I'm pretty sure it's been the only cage match ever held in Wales. The first and the only one. So again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. I'm right. Yeah, it was a huge, huge occasion. Mine and many of the others. Actually, I think it was everyone in the match's first ever cage match. again, please correct me if I'm wrong if you're watching and I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was everyone involved. It was all of our first cage match, and it was just, it had that big fight feel. It was like, if I could, I wish I could have. If I could have had, how they do on WWE when they bring the cage down with all the lights and the do, 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 do. If I could have done that, I would have, because I wanted that kind of.
But you still had that feel, didn't you? You still had that
Yeah,
big match
yeah,
feel.
yeah. So even without that, yeah, I still managed. We still managed to get that aura around the match, because again, it was a storyline that we built up for like nearly a year. Again, the long-term storyline coming into it, the long-term uh, playing out, and people just really wanted to see the virus get their asses kicked. They really, really, really did, because of everything they'd been doing, and it all came to a head in that match. And then, yeah, it was great fun. As a performer, it was so much fun. I was, obviously, because I'm running the show too, I was so worried about, am I putting too many eggs in too many baskets? Am I spreading myself too thin by running the show, having the cage match as well? But it actually went fantastic. It went so much better than I was expecting, on my part anyway, for my performance. But yeah, there's a free documentary on our YouTube channel actually about the lead up to this show and that match. It's called Uncaged, if anyone wants to watch it, and you can see a little bit behind the scenes of how we prepared for that show and how we prepared for the cage. Yeah, but it's like you said, it's probably one of our No Mercy's most memorable matches, I would say.
Absolutely, and that was also, if I'm not mistaken, back in the Caerphilly Leisure Centre, which seems to
Yep.
be the venue for so many memorable highlights of No
Yeah.
Mercy Wrestling, as well as now I'm going to butcher this, is the Perrin Khyber Hall, where it's his spiritual home of No Mercy Wrestling. Did I pronounce that correctly, Bevan?
Very, very close. It's Penru Khyber.
Penru Khyber, thank you very much.
There you go.
I won't
Yeah.
get it right for as long as I live. I won't get it right
It's
for as long as
fine.
I live.
It's good.
Let's jump to some more comments, because we've got people watching us and sending comments all the time. Now, we got Lowry watching us live at home on YouTube. Go back to Keris. Keris is a godsend on the show days. We'd crumble without our merch queen. So thank you, Lowry, and thank you, Keris, once again. Let's have a look. Oh, we got Daniel Ellis, hopefully no relation, but Daniel Ellis watching us live at home. No Mercy has been a massive part of his life. I wouldn't be who I am today without the love and dedication from there we go. Daniel Ellis, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching, and keep sending me your questions, keep sending me your comments. We've still got plenty of things to go through and plenty of time with Bevan the Bastard Son. And I want to talk about the next show. We're going to talk about No Mercy No More, March the 9th. So just a couple of Sundays down the road there, Caerphilly Leisure Centre once again. And there's just a little bit of a glimpse there on that poster of some of the talent that will be involved. But back at the Caerphilly Leisure Centre, and like I say, that has become a bit of a home from home for No Mercy fans, No Mercy Wrestling, or Brilliance Pro Wrestling, dare I say. But for the big occasions, for the big shows, that's the place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The Leisure Centre has become our home. Like you said, Sweep the Leg, our first anniversary show, was actually our first big show there, so it was quite a nice callback for that. Yeah, that's been our home now since then. And as you said, we ran shows as well in Penrith Khyber Hall, which was kind of like the little brother of our home, if you will. As you know, you've been there, John, as it was a small but very nice venue.
Yes,
had a lot of character to it.
A lot of
character. Yeah, a lot of character. We came away from running shows there, and we've basically we wanted to branch out, and we wanted to try other venues and other areas. So, but yeah, I always look back on our time at Penrith Khyber with fond memories. It's where we started the very first Iron Cobra tournament. It's where a lot of people on our roster got their start. So a lot of people made memories in that building, and I will always remember it with fond memories. But as they say, it's onwards and upwards, and try not to look on the past too much. I like to reminisce with the past rather than looking back onto it and just look towards the future.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the matches, and let's talk about this one here first. Love and Money versus Lucia Lee and Rain Leverkusen. So obviously a kind of a mixed tag here, but tell us a little bit about this one. I'm not too familiar with Love and Money. Give us a little bit of a background on them and what sort of match we can expect from those two teams on March the 9th.
So there's two debuts in that match, actually. It's Lionel da Silva, who's part of Love and Money, and Rain Leverkusen, who, as much as we have tried for almost a year and a half now to debut Rain Leverkusen, and no matter what happens in the past, touch wood, it's not going to happen this time. Something has happened where she wasn't able to make it. Either she got injured, or there was a conflict of booking days. Whatever it may be, there's always a time where she couldn't do it. And now finally, we're so happy Rain is finally going to debut. So, yeah, obviously, Lucia Lee has been a day one since the start of No Mercy. She's been there from the start. One of my closest friends as well. So, Lucia Lee will always have a place at my No Mercy, at least anyway. Love and Money, they're relatively new. They're from New Wave West Midlands. They primarily train there, I believe. You got Lionel da Silva there on the left and Luca Romeo on the right. Luca Romeo was actually wrestled at No Mercy once before. He wrestled Lucia Lee. He also wrestles for a few other promotions like Dragon Kingdom in Wales. And he's a great talent, absolutely fantastic talent. Not only that, he has something about him. He has character, he has charisma, and that's what I love in a wrestler. Don't get me wrong, I love a wrestler who can just go and just wrestle, what I mean? And just like, your Lance Storm, dare I say it, Chris Benoit types of wrestler, But then if you can add that with some character and some charisma, then to me, that's the full package. And that's what Luca Romeo has. And he's very entertaining. And yeah, I think people are going to enjoy that match because it's, as you said, it's a nice dynamic of intergender as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
There we go. And another tag match now. We're going to talk about Act 2 versus Soul Train. Now, I know Act 2 very well. I've had them on the show twice over the last few years, quite recently at the back end of last year. But I'm familiar with All of a Sudden, having worked with him backstage at No Mercy shows. But I'm not too familiar with his tag team partner on the right-hand side of the screen there that completes the team of Soul Train. But by the looks of it, you got kind of your smaller Act 2 and your bigger Soul Train here. So, you kind of got your David and Goliath dynamics here. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fantastic tag match. And Act 2, they've been tearing it up around the UK. What sort of match are we likely to get between these two teams?
Yeah, exactly. As you said, it's going to be a crazy dynamic with the size difference, but also with that comes athletic / speed difference too. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see. Obviously, Act 2, love those guys to death. They're amazing. I'm really good friends with them as well. So outside of the ring, again, a similar situation to Rain where we've been trying to get them back, but dates don't work or whatever it may be. And now finally we're getting them back, and I'm so happy that we are, because obviously they've worked for us before, but yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen here. Because, Soul Train, obviously, as you said, All of a Sudden's been at No Mercy from day one as well. Very, very entertaining wrestler, as I'm sure you remember, John.
1,000%.
Yeah, and he's very, very much a fan favorite at No Mercy. And Ryan Saint, his tag partner, is actually born and bred No Mercy Dojo trainee. He started with us, and yeah, he's come out of the dojo, and he's one of our small numbers that we're proud to say is a dojo guy. And he puts 110% into everything. He's, again, a great character, fantastic charisma on him, and then him and All of a Sudden together is, hold on to your hats. Basically, it gets a bit wild.
that could be the sleeper match of the whole show. I think the dynamics between those two teams and the action you're likely to get and the characters as well. And I think the fans are going to eat that one up all day long. What about this one here? This triple threat match, Harrison Bennett versus Adam Crater versus Wesker. And I know that this was originally a four-way match, a four corners match, but it's recently been changed to a triple threat. But you look at the talent on that poster, you look at the talent that's going to be involved in that match. That's going to be incredible. You've got, once again, different dynamics, but you've got some big guys there, some faster guys. And I think, the different dynamics that are going to be involved are going to lead to a very, very fun and exciting and action-packed match.
Yeah, without a doubt. That, as you said, the sizes of each guy, because a lot of people are going to look at that match and think, Harrison Bennett is the small guy. Harrison Bennett isn't a small guy.
He's a big
he
dude.
just is. He's just fast and he's very athletic. And that's the difference. But and also you can't forget about the history with Wesker and Adam Crater with the whole virus thing. So whether or not that's going to play into it, it remains to be seen. But yeah, that triple threat it's again. All of these matches on this card have the ability to be match of the night, and that's what I love about this card. It's just you don't know which match is going to take the crown, and it could be any of them legitimately.
1000%. And got to talk about this individual here because Charles Crowley will be making his return to No Mercy Wrestling at No Mercy No More. Now, it's been a little while since Charles Crowley was last in a No Mercy ring, probably going back a few years, if I'm not mistaken. But finally, he makes his return back to the Caerphilly Leisure Centre. And I don't think you could have picked a bigger name. You spoke about Trent Seven earlier, debuting for No Mercy last September. But to have Charles Crowley, and considering his growth and his journey since he was last in No Mercy, and I said it's probably about 3 years. It probably is about 3 years ago since he was last on a No Mercy show. But he's now kind of grown and developed to be one of the biggest names on independent wrestling around the world, not just the UK. And congratulations, to Brilliance Pro Wrestling / No Mercy Wrestling for getting him back on board.
Yeah, exactly. Charles Crowley is unbelievably talented. I find a lot of people forget how good he is in the ring because of how good he is at everything else as well. Obviously he's a fantastic talker. He's got one of the best characters ever. And he's just the full package. Charles Crowley is the full package. He's got everything you need in a wrestler. But as I said, a lot of people forget how good he is in the ring too. He is very, very, very good in the ring. And the last time he was at No Mercy was actually at Penrick Iver, and they had that crazy Home Alone street fight match with Act 2, actually, him and Wesker versus Act 2, which was off the absolute chain. It was mental, as you can imagine, with Crowley and weapons and based on Home Alone. So it went a bit wild, but it was still so fun. But yeah, it's so cool to see him back. And I don't think he's actually been back to Wales since then either. So it'll be his first time in Wales since then too.
Brilliant. And I'm going to bring up that graphic one more time because shout out to Elliot93, the awesome graphic designer. I know he's been doing your No Mercy's graphics for a long, long time now, and a good friend of mine, good friend of yours, but one of the best, if not the best, wrestling graphic designer in the world, hands down. I'm sorry to do this. We've got to talk about this individual. Brilliance Pro Wrestling, the Brilliance James Ellis, and it says there, and this is probably because he forced Elliot to put it on the graphic, that he's going to be gracing the fans with his presence. I don't know if you kind of want to add to that, or if you have any comments, or maybe what we might kind of expect or get from the Brill on March the 9th.
I think it's personally, obviously, I'm not going to be there, so I don't know. But personally, I think it's just going to be more of his usual drivel of me. Look at me, I'm the best. Look at me, everyone bow down to me. Which eventually is going to come bite him in the ass. Of course, it is. It always does. But let's just say I would love to be there when it happens. Tell you that. And that's all I got to say on him.
Yeah. Let's move on. We've got two more matches to talk about. And this one is hot off the press because I think if you're watching this live, this was probably only put out on No Mercy and Brilliance Pro Wrestling social channels about an hour ago, if not less than that. But this one here is going to be an Iron Cobra ladder match. Shane Hook, the winner of the very first Iron Cobra tournament back in 2022, versus Ethan Thomas. We've spoken about these two individuals, but Ethan Thomas, the most recent Iron Cobra tournament winner from 2024, and on March the 9th from the Caerphilly Leisure Centre, these two will be going head-to-head, and not just head-to-head, they'll be going head-to-head in a ladder match. So another huge stipulation between two, let's say, the current and former Iron Cobra tournament winners. But let's be honest, two of the youngest and best young talents on the scene right now.
Yeah. Shane has been with us again, another day oneer since the start. His first ever experience with No Mercy was on the very first show where he was in the pre-show Rumble. And then obviously he moved on to much bigger and better things. And yeah, Shane has always been the guy. He's kind of been like someone I've always wanted to look out for. Not that I don't look out for all of my roster members, but because he started with us at the dojo as well when he was quite young. I've always felt a little bit of a kinship and responsibility for him. So I'm so happy to see what he's moved on to and what he's doing now, because again, he's another one. I think if his couple of injuries that he had recently hadn't happened, he would have been probably at the same place, if not more, than Liam Cage as well right now. And obviously they have a tag team as well, Rising Tide. So yeah, Shane's another one who's just going to be taking off again, this year or even next year, but if he hasn't already. But yeah, he, as you said, was the first Iron Cobra, fully deserved as well. That moment was, again, that's on our YouTube channel. You can go back and watch that. The moment where he won that first tournament, and that was real emotion as well. I presented him with the sword, and it was pure. It was for a shoot. It was pure emotion. Everyone, there was not a dry eye in the whole place. Everyone loved it. It was great. And that was the moment I realized I need to keep this tournament going, because this tournament means something to people. It's if you're not involved in No Mercy, it might not seem that important, but everyone that is involved in No Mercy sees how important that tournament is, because everyone that's won it so far, it's not a coincidence that they're going on further to great things, So I feel anyway. And now obviously that Ethan's won it as well. Like you said, he might be new to some people, he might be new on the scene to some people, but he has been around Wales for a while. And like Kenny Mantra, there was a little bit of time for him to find his footing, find his rhythm, but now he has. Yeah, you're going to be seeing much better things from Ethan Thomas as well, very, very soon. So it's I'm interested to see how that one goes, because not only is it a battle of the young Cobras, but those guys are friends too. So to be in such a violent match with big stakes, it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, those ladders will definitely play an important part in that match. And considering the two athletes that are involved in that match, there's going to be a lot of high flying and, dare I say it, dangerous action going on. Where, obviously, neither one of them wants to come out on the losing end. So they're really going to be kind of throwing everything at it to make sure they come out on top. And the final match we're going to talk about, Bevan, is this one here. Now, a lot of the line here. The Legacy Championship will be up for grabs. Kenny Mantra's Legacy Champion. And if I remember back to my own words earlier, I think 472 days as of today, as of this live stream, Kenny Mantra has been the Legacy Champion, going up against Kelly Six, like say somebody a long time ago, once upon a time, you knew very well, you trusted, with your heart, with your company, with your training school. But all of that went out the window the moment that he attacked you and turned his back on yourself and many others and the fans. But that match there for the Legacy Championship, that one is going to be a fantastic match between two wrestlers that can go all day long. And with the title on the line, there's so many stakes up for grabs here, isn't there?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like we said earlier, Kenny Manta is someone that I've known personally a long time, and I know the kind of heart he has. Um, like the name he uses, the heartbeat of pro wrestling, is not a gimmick. He truly loves the business. He truly loves wrestling, and he truly gives every single part of him and leaves it in the ring every single match he has. And I'm pretty confident. Yeah, I'm very confident he's going to do exactly the same on March 9th. So it's going to take a lot to take that belt off him, I think. I don't. I think Kelly has kind of underestimated Kenny a little bit. Um, Obviously, Kelly joining up with Ellis and Aaron Blanchard in the last show is kind of. I can see his. I can see his goal, and I can see why he did it. He he saw that I lost the company, and he kind of wanted to keep a job in a way, and decided to join up with them. But ultimately, I know Kelly Six. I know Kelly Six very, very well. As you said, I trusted him with my training school and my company, and I got a feeling. Let's just say Ellis, I think, shouldn't count all of his chickens just yet. That's all I'll say.
Very interesting, very interesting. But there may well be more announcements. Just stay tuned to No Mercy socials, and we'll kind of run through what those are a little bit later on. But there's all the details on screen. The Caerphilly Leisure Centre, and you can get your tickets just by going to nomercywrestling.co.uk. Scan the barcode on screen, or go to any of their links from their social pages, and it will take you straight there. And we'll talk more about the website. We'll talk more about where you can get tickets and No Mercy on-demand content. But nomercywrestling.co.uk, that's the main website where you can get your tickets today, or while the barcode's on screen, get your phones out and scan that now. But No Mercy, No More, Sunday the 9th of March. You're not going to want to miss that. Some tremendous matches. I think we spoke about 5 matches there that are set to take place, and featuring some of the very best talent from South Wales and from across the UK, and some of the best talent from further afield for sure, including that match there, the Iron Cobra ladder match, and the Legacy Championship match. But like I say, stay tuned to No Mercy socials, and I'm sure there'll be more announcements, but definitely there'll be posts appearing all the time where you can click on the link and get transported straight to the website and get your tickets today. And it's one of those tickets are selling quickly, but it's one of them shows that you're going to want to take the whole family to as well. Nan, granddad, mum, dad, auntie, uncle, and all the kids. It truly is a variety show for the whole family. And for anybody that's not been to a No Mercy wrestling show before, Bevan, just kind of sell us in a bit of a nutshell, kind of what sort of day, what sort of action, what sort of show could you be experiencing if you get them tickets today?
Yes, it's exactly as you said. It's a family-friendly, fun for all the family event. Like that's what we've always prided ourselves in, is including everyone, no matter what your age, no matter what your demographic. We feel like there's at least one part of the show that you're going to like, if not all of it, and hopefully it would be all of it. I imagine it will from the reviews we've had. But yeah, we very, very focused on, like you said, everyone being involved, whether it's your grandmother, your niece, your nephew, your grandson, whoever it may be. Everyone is welcome, and everyone. We try to produce the show that's going to give everyone a great time, not just one demographic. So, and of course you've got all the added extras. Like, unfortunately, VIP is sold out, which obviously is great, but unfortunately, if you want a VIP, you can't get them. But we have our VIP packages, which includes meet and greets. They include reserved front row seats, freebies, lots of different perks. But even general admission, you get, excuse me, you can buy the meet and greet add-ons if you wanted to do that pre-show meet and greet as well. So obviously we've got great merchandise. We've got refreshments at every show. We've got the wonderful Sticky Ink. People at Sticky Ink, they do our merch stand. They do all of our merchandise. They're fabulous people. Go check them out too. And it's just, like I said earlier, it's about the entire presentation for No Mercy. It's about the spectacle of walking into that venue and seeing it all, and seeing the lights, seeing the smoke, seeing the crowd, seeing everything up and going. And it's like, my goal is to get everyone that walks in that door, from the moment they walk in to the moment they walk out, to go, that was amazing. Not just that wrestling was amazing, the entire experience was amazing. And that's what we go for. And I think we succeed with it.
Absolutely. Just go to nomercywrestling.co.uk. That's the website. All the links will be on there. Go to any of their social pages, click on the links for the show, or just scan the barcode on screen. But it will be a fantastic show. A few people that have been reaching out. We've got to Cue Ball again. Thank you so much, Cue Ball. Someone is going to have to keep an eye on Blanchard. So obviously he's somebody to keep an eye on, and that's somebody that, Kenny Mantra is going to have to keep one eye on for sure. And Daniel Ellis, so he's got a spare ticket. Do you fancy joining in, to see what that jackass James Ellis has to say? Like I say, you got an invite there. Somebody offering you a spare ticket if you want to go along to see what happens. But there we go. That's if you're interested, of course. But Daniel, reach out to Bevan, DM him. I'm sure he can sort something out. Let's switch subjects a little bit. And I know you mentioned very briefly earlier on, but we're going to talk about VCW Pro Wrestling now. And this was formerly Valley Championship Wrestling, another South Wales company that had been around for quite a while, that over the last year or so has been acquired and kind of fallen underneath the banner, the umbrella of No Mercy Wrestling. Tell us a little bit about VCW Pro Wrestling, because it might be a company that might have fallen underneath a lot of people's radar over the last few years, but now they're part of the No Mercy family. You're giving them kind of more prominence, more social media coverage, and some big names coming onto their shows very, very soon. But to give us a little bit of a history and a bit of a background as far as VCW Pro Wrestling and your relationship with them.
Valley Championship Wrestling, we're a small promotion that's been around for a while, a little bit longer than before No Mercy. As I said earlier, a few of the guys on our roster started training there, actually. It was previously owned by Andrew James, and they were a great little promotion. I actually worked for them myself as a performer many, many times. One day Andrew got in touch with me and mentioned, the opportunity came up to possibly take it over and take it under the No Mercy banner. Because me and Andrew were chatting. I've always gotten on well with Andrew. He always tells it like it is. We've always gotten on professionally and personally. So, he just basically said, he was like, he's coming to the end of his wrestling life and he wanted to move on. And he wanted to see the promotion. He didn't want to see it die, basically, because it's provided a good platform for a lot of the young guys, a lot of the newer guys coming up through the scene, and a lot of the younger guys and girls to get some experience on. So we both agreed we didn't want to see that go away. So he put the idea to maybe me coming in and taking it on. So after a lot of chatting and a lot of deliberation, we decided to, and we acquired it. And we decided we wanted to give it a nice fresh start, while keeping a little bit of the identity. So obviously we kept the VCW, but we took away the Valley Championship part of it. Because the Valley Championship Wrestling, its branding was very heavily based around it being based in the Welsh Valleys and having the Welsh flag and all of that. While there's nothing wrong with that at all, I love it. I'm Welsh. I'm very, very proud to be a Welshman. I just felt like it needed a bit of a fresh lick of paint. So we did a nice big rebrand. We took a few months off the shows. We took it away from running shows, and did a really nice, big, fresh rebrand where VCW no longer stands for anything. It's just VCW Pro Wrestling now. But we still kept the core values of what Valley Championship Wrestling was, which was giving opportunities to newer people and maybe less experienced people. Kind of like treating it like our NXT, if you will, the NXT to No Mercy, more like a developmental type thing, where smaller shows, smaller capacity venues, smaller, less production, just so we could give newer people the chance to get some experience, but with less pressure of the bigger crowds and all the lights and whistles and all of that. So yeah, that's how it started, and it went really, really well, and it still is going well. And yeah, we're at a point now where I think VCW could actually take on a separate entity, if you will, like away from No Mercy. So we still run it, but not so much that it doesn't. No, I don't think it needs No Mercy to be kind of holding its hand anymore. Do you get what I mean? So
yeah.
Hopefully, with the next few shows coming up for VCW, we've got some plans in store where I think it'll be evident that that's what's going to be taken off with.
Absolutely, and we've got obviously the graphic for their next show, Ballroom Blitz 2, Sunday the 13th of April. So just over a month away from Newbridge Memo, and you can get tickets from vcwprowrestling.co.uk. There's the graphic for the next show, and of course the big announcement is that LA Taylor will be making her VCW debut on April the 13th, Ballroom Blitz 2. So a big acquisition there, getting LA Taylor involved in VCW for the next show, Ballroom Blitz 2. So it's looking like a bit of a stacked show, looking at the poster, and certainly having LA Taylor involved as well.
Oh yeah, having LA Taylor involved is massive for VCW. Like as I said, it was originally meant to be. I don't want to say limited. That's the wrong word. It was aimed at less experienced people and newer people on the scene to get some experience, but also you kind of need the experienced people to show them the right way too. And I was like, I need some good people. I need some trustworthy, good wrestlers who I know will give great matches, but also help out the newer people too. So having LA Taylor on that show is going to be huge. It's going to be great for VCW, and also the person, I don't want to say too much, but the person she's wrestling, it's going to be a great match. It's going to be so good, and I can't wait for people to find out what it is. It's going to be so good.
There we go. And like I say, just stay tuned to VCW Pro Wrestling socials to get more updates and like I say, more names, more matches for that show, Ballroom Blitz 2, on April the 13th. And just bringing up this calendar of events, because that does show all the dates and locations for both VCW and No Mercy Wrestling through 2025. And it's a stacked lineup. Shows for both brands there all the way through to the end of the year. So just like I say, there's a barcode on screen, scan that, or just go to nomercywrestling.com. We can get all of your ticket information and show information through 2025 and support VCW Pro Wrestling and No Mercy Wrestling as well. But a couple of things, and I probably asked you about this the last time you were on the show, but the wrestling scene in the South Wales area at the moment, Bevan, like I say, it's always been strong. Historically, it's always been strong. Historically, it's always given us some of the biggest and best names on the UK scene for the last 10, 15 plus years. But looking at it now, looking how it continues to grow, and you've got some excellent schools in South Wales that are kind of really bringing on and nurturing the young talent, not just in South Wales, but they're kind of exploding and branching out all across the UK. We mentioned the Shane Hooks, the Leon Cages, and various others. I've got a bit of a list of names here, but some of the big South Wales names that really, really jump off the page. We mentioned Jay Joshua earlier, Wild Boar, Flash Morgan Webster, of course, Mark Andrews, Harrison Bennett, Adam Crater, who's really, really come on over the last couple of years. There's a name change there, a presence about him. He's kind of really exploding onto the scene as this kind of big man to be reckoned with. Eddie Dennis, Shane Hook, Josh Holly, Leon Cage, James Ellis. Some names there. Say you've got experience of 15, 20 years, you've got experience of maybe the last 1 or 2 years, and many more that you can probably, tell me for days of all the young talent that are coming up through the scene. But the South Wales scene in 2025, I think it's one of the strongest times it's ever been.
Yeah, without a doubt. Wales is taking over. And I know I'm biased saying that, but it really, really is. Like you said, you just look at that list of talent you mentioned there. they're in every promotion everywhere in the country, and there's a reason for that, and it's from the great training that we have here, and the great shows, and the fact that for the most part we all work together. We all help each other out. We work extremely close with New Wave. I actually train with Brendan White at New Wave now. Like I've for my rehab for my hamstring and like getting back into the ring, I chose to train there to get me back into ring shape, and I'm very very glad I did, because it is hands down the best training. It's fantastic, and obviously you've got other places doing training. You got Exposure, you've got All Style Pro in Swansea, you've got many different places, and it's just it's no one people can't deny it anymore. Wales is the place to be for wrestling, or at least South Wales in the UK, and I'll stand by that, and I'll die on that hill. And it's going to get it's going nowhere but up, either, because there's so many new people coming through as well. Like I was at a recent induction class at New Wave not too long ago, and some of the newer people who might just be starting out training now, they're fantastic. They really, really are. And it's like these new crop of people, like in the next year or two, they're going to be just as good. They're going to be just as passionate, just as hungry. And obviously, it's great that they have all of these different shows to step straight onto. Because when I started, or people started before me, it wasn't like that. You didn't have a school in every city. You didn't have a show every single week to go to and network at. So it's never been better to be a new wrestler in Wales right now. Or even the UK. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. When you kind of think about some of them names that I mentioned, I don't think there is a ceiling for some of them. When you talk about the Shane Hooks and the Josh Hollies and the James Ellises and the Leon Cages, and the experienced batch that were previously signed and now back on the indies, and sharing their knowledge and their wisdom. But looking at the Leon Cages and some of the younger wrestlers, I don't think there is a ceiling for those individuals. As we said earlier, give them a couple of years, they're going to be all over the world. Let's jump to some comments, and we got to Cue Ball once again. VCW is in his blood. VCW meant so much to him. Myself and Bevan are in a similar situation with management, quote unquote. Bevan, I know we've not seen eye to eye in the past. Fancy meeting up and having a chat? So a bit of an invite there from Cue Ball to maybe have a clash of minds, and to share some thoughts over the similar situations that you both appear to be in. And Keris wants some more. Something about being in a Sidemen video must be a highlight of your year also. You must kind of add a bit of context to this. Not something I was aware of. What's that referring to, Bevan?
Yeah, silly me. I absolutely forgot about that. It's a massive big deal. So just out of the blue, I think I can't remember exactly when it was now, but I got an email from an agency, and me being the old fart I am, I had no clue who the Sidemen were. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know anything about them. The only people I knew was KSI, obviously, because he's been on WrestleMania, and that was it, and because of Prime and all of that stuff. So I didn't know anything about the Sidemen. So I remember asking a few people. I was like, I've just had an email asking to rent the ring for a YouTube video for someone called the Sidemen. Is this a big deal? And actually, it was Lucia Lee as well, one of the first people. Lucia Lee got back to me. She was like, yes, it's a massive deal. Say yes. So I was like, oh, okay. So I did a little research and then realized, obviously, they are some of the biggest YouTubers ever to exist. So I was like, maybe I should reply to this email. And yeah, it was crazy. It literally happened within a couple of days. Their agency, who was in charge of like booking things for the videos, just got in contact and was like, yeah, we're doing a Sidemen video where the guys are like, they're doing like a come down with me type video where there's teams, and KSI and I think it was Ethan, their team were going to do a wrestling based meal or dinner, whatever they do on Come Down With Me. So we went there. It was in London. We spent the night overnight. We set up the ring. It was an unbelievable setup. Like just the setup must have cost about 25, 30 grand. It was mental. Like it's on YouTube. I think it's on about 18 million views at the moment, something like that, something silly. And it had the setup of one of the top like indie shows. It was like Rev Pro at the proper box. It was insane. Very, very small, but that level of production, and it was just crazy. And I took we had Kenny Mantra come along and Big Rig as well, and yeah, we did a little skit with them, a little bit of a wrestle. I was the announcer, so I got to announce all the guys because I was injured at the time, so I couldn't wrestle. And it was just kind of surreal. It was very, very surreal. It was just like, is this actually happening? Are we actually doing this? And it only properly hit us when we got back, and we saw the video go up, and we saw the views counting and going up and going up. We were like, oh my god, we actually did that. That was crazy. But yeah, it's on YouTube. You can go find it. Just search "Sidemen Come Down with Me Wrestling" and it'll pop up.
How many million views so far?
I can't remember exactly. I think the last time I checked
million?
18. I think that was the last time I checked. It might be a little less, a little bit more, but I can't remember now. But yeah, I even forgot to tell you about it. That's how much I forget about how I do it.
Thank you, Keris, for jogging on that one. But thank you, Keris. Thank you, Cue Ball, and thank you to everybody that's been sending me questions and comments throughout this broadcast. And thank you to everybody that's watched. We're not quite done yet, because scrolling along the bottom of the screen are all of No Mercy's socials, and one or two there for Bevan as well, including a website where you can kind of go to the website as a bit of a one-stop shop, and also the on-demand service as well. So, Bevan, I'm going to hand it over to you. Where can we reach out, say hi, learn more about No Mercy and yourself, and learn more about the website and the on-demand service as well, my friend?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, as it's on the screen at the moment, at BEVAN The Bastard Son _PW. I do have a X profile, but I know I don't really use it anymore because I find Twitter to be the cesspit, so I don't use it. But you can find I'm on Facebook too. Again, I don't really use that too much. Instagram is the place to find me for my wrestling stuff. But then No Mercy, all of the above. You got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got X, you got YouTube, all the same at No Mercy Wrestle with an E, not ING. Someone took it and I'm really annoyed at it. But yeah, at No Mercy Wrestle for Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube, and actually TikTok as well. We're on TikTok too. We don't post that much, but yeah, we have a little bit of content on there. But and then of course you got the on demand, which is demandnomercy.co.uk, where you can see the entire back catalogue of all of our shows, and there's a couple of free things on there as well, like the documentary and various other things like that. But also, yeah, the YouTube, we upload to the YouTube very, very regularly. Free matches, highlight videos, again, the documentary as I talked about earlier. But yeah, we're very, very close to getting to that magic number where we can monetize. So I'm going to do a very, very shameless plug here and ask everyone to go to the YouTube and please subscribe. You don't have to watch the videos. I mean, it would be great if you did, but just please subscribe, like all the videos, spend a bit of time watching them, and hopefully we can get to that magic number of monetization, and we can, put more effort into putting out better content as well.
100%. And I also want to say that No Mercy Wrestling and VCW Pro Wrestling are also part of the Johners Podcasting Network, and their YouTube channels are linked to the Johners Podcasting Network at wrestlingwithjohners.com. Yep. So if you go there, a bit of a one-stop shop where you can find both logos, both links at the top of the page, and that will take you straight through to their YouTube channel. So go and support right away. But before we go, bit of a plug, because you do have your return match already announced. Now, I don't know how widely known this is, but this is going to be your first match back for Dragon Kingdom Wrestling. And it's actually against an individual who we've mentioned once or twice already during this broadcast, Ethan Thomas, in a no holds barred. Now, some might say that's more your wheelhouse than it is Ethan's. But what a return match to have, and what sort of a shock to the system is Ethan going to likely have with a returning hungry, enthusiastic Bevan on his hands?
Well, the great thing about Dragon Kingdom, just a little bit of a history with them, they're a great company. Everyone should go check them out. It's run by some friends of mine. I started working for them from their very first show. I've kind of been behind the scenes helping them out with advice, and I don't want to say mentoring, but just helping out with advice, that kind of thing. And I really, really love the shows. They put on some fantastic stuff, really, really good shows. But ever since the first show, I've been in a little bit of professional rivalry, shall we say, with Ethan Thomas, and it's just kind of gotten worse and worse. And then obviously when I got injured, I wasn't able to wrestle, so I moved on to commentary. And Ethan just decided to keep badgering me, and he's the bully in this situation, by the way. I have to say, he has been bullying me, not the other way around, not what everyone's telling everyone. He's the bully. So I decided to stand up for myself on the last show, and I, maybe lashed out at Ethan a little bit, shall we say. And they decided to make the match no holds barred for my return match too. Can you believe that? Like, my very first match back, and it's going to be no holds barred. Not only is it that though, that day I land from a very well-deserved holiday in Florida that I'm having, by the way. So that day I land, I'm going to drive back from Heathrow Airport, jump in the ring van, go to Dragon Kingdom, set up the ring, and then have a no holds barred match with Ethan Thomas. So hopefully I don't get too sunburnt and he doesn't hit me too hard with a kendo stick or something like that.
Yeah, so let's hope you're not jet lagged as well. But
that too. Yeah.
Could be plenty of factors that might play into Ethan Thomas's favour here. But just going to bring up the scrolling banner along the screen. And just a quick reminder, at the top of the show, I mentioned that my very next guest is going to be one half of the Progress World Tag Team Champions, Charlie Sterling, next Thursday, live on Wrestling with John's, Thursday, the 6th of March, and arguably one of the very best wrestlers in the UK, if not further afield. Charlie Sterling will be joining me live, probably close to 4 years since he was last on the show, but check that one out, a fantastic guest. But speaking of fantastic guests, Bevan, the Bastard Son, episode 378 of Wrestling with Johners, your second appearance, and let's not leave it so long next time. We'll get you back again, hopefully under better circumstances, and we'll be able to talk about maybe kind of the demise of Brilliance Pro Wrestling. Who knows? But I'm just going to bring up this graphic again, because go and support Brilliance Pro Wrestling. No Mercy, No More. Sunday, the 9th of March, from the Caerphilly Leisure Centre. There's a big old QR logo on the left-hand side there. Scan that now, or go to the website, nomercywrestling.co.uk, where you can get your tickets. Pick up your tickets for the Caerphilly Leisure Centre right now. You will not be disappointed. Some tremendous talent and matches have already been announced. But Bevan, the Bastard Son, just want to thank you so much for being a great friend and a fantastic guest on episode 378, my friend.
Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it, mate, as always.
Take care. Best wishes.